Hey everybody, welcome to the Ronline report. I don't want to put any of my past guests down, but I am the most excited I've ever been to do one of these with this gentleman here today. I've literally been following this man my whole life. A lot of you guys have too, whether you know it or not. You've watched him in so many TV shows, movies. Of course, you know him from The Incredible Hulk, from Pumping Iron. What else can I say? Lou Ferrigno, thank you for joining us. He's here with Chris Mins, co-promoter of the Ferrigno Legacy event coming up next month in California. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
Okay, so I'm going to get right into my questions. I have a lot of questions. The first one is, Lou, you left bodybuilding so young, 23 years old. And I have some very old magazines from around that era, the late 70s, where it seemed like you were going to make a comeback. Did you really mean to retire at that time, or did you know that you wouldn't be coming back?
Well, what happened though when I was 23, when I competed in the movie Pumping Iron with Dr. Drama, but then I couldn't compete the year after that. I'm kind of a little hesitant about it because Arnold retired, but then the Incredible Hulk came along. So I done three different TV series. The one day at the age of 42, I woke up and said one morning, I said, I haven't reached my full potential. I'm going to compete again. Now, I'm going against the 90s bodybuilders. I went to Joe Rito. So what I had to do was develop a hunger to compete again because I can't compete at 250, 260 pounds. I ended up coming back at 325 pounds, 2% body fat, which I'm glad I've done it because I wanted to see how far I could go, take my body to it. Because today with the technology, with the cardio, with the supplementation, the nutrition, but it was the greatest thing I've done because I enjoy it. I love competing. And it's wonderful, especially when you're on stage competing with yourself. Not many people can do that.
Yeah. How was your training and your nutrition different? It had to be very, very different in 1992, 93, 94 when you came back.
Well, in the 70s, it was mostly like a meat and water diet. Maybe one piece of food. It's all about low-calorie diet. It's all about starving yourself, burning the fat. The difference in the diet when I came back to competition was the cardio. I was eating more, like eating 4 or 5 times a day, smaller meals, and doing the cardio and the posing, you're able to consume more food, and also you could be attaining more size. Yeah. But in the old days, you bulk up or cut down. But today's competition, you could actually be at a certain body weight. You could train up to a competition body weight with the proper nutrition, dieting, and still be contest shape.
Okay. So you competed in 92, 93, 94. 94 was the last time we saw you. You took second to Robbie Robinson at the Masters. Of those 3 years, what was your favorite look?
I would say the second year. You know why? Because Ron, not competing for 17 years, I had to work on the ligament tendon. It takes at least 9 months to a year to get used to the heavy training. So the second year, more maturity. Yeah. I had more confidence to be on stage because when you first compete again after 17 years, you're dealing with the stage fright. Competing again because you've been so long, have to learn how to pose. But everything changes 17 years because now we have the prejudging, we have the comparison. When I competed in the 70s, we didn't have the comparison like today. Today you gotta have like striations, you're glued, and you can't hide any flaws. So I would say the second year because it was in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was able to get to the body weight I wanted to, especially with the following I had, everybody rooting for me. It didn't matter how I played. It came down to that I would want to be the best I can be and walk away saying that I could not have done better. And it was a blessing. I enjoyed it, especially when I was competing and pumping iron. I was the youngest person on stage. When I came back, I was the oldest person.
And I have to say, 1993 Olympia was the funniest moment on stage ever I've seen in my life was you and Flavio Baccianini. He's 4'10" and you're 6'5".
Yeah.
That was just the most hilarious thing. So I have to ask, there were 7 years after you retired from bodybuilding where Mr. Olympia weighed less than 200 pounds. It was a lot of smaller guys winning. You had, Frank Zane, obviously, Chris Dickerson, Samir, Franco Colombo was like 180 pounds. Do you think, had you kept competing, that you would have had a lot of Olympia wins in that time frame?
I think if I kept competing, I probably would have won the title easily 4 or 5 years because I had nothing but just that. And then coming back 17 years later, you're dealing with injuries. Yeah. You're older. At the age of 42 is not like you're competing at 32. You have to be smart at the age of 42. But back then, I just loved competing. So I remember I moved to California in 76. Then the Hulk came along. And then I had to put that aside because the fact that the Hulk came along. But I specifically moved to California to train a whole year for the competition. In the past, I've only trained 3 months at a time. I trained hard, like I'm pumping iron. I trained maybe like 10 weeks. But I wanted to train a full year to win the Miss Olympia, but I got sidetracked. Like in 1974, when I competed against Arnold, my cat told me, I was living in Ohio, I only trained like 3 months for the competition. My cat told me that Arnold trained an entire year. You gotta remember, you're on the beach, you're getting a contract from Joe, you're going to school, and you have all these opportunities. I was a sheet metal journeyman, and I had to work from like 9 to 5, you know, fabricating air duct. It's like a heavy metal work, and then coming home training, then get up the next morning. It was tough, but I never had that full opportunity to train a full year. So when I came back when I was 42, I had that opportunity.
Yeah. Now, do you feel you were portrayed properly in the movie Pumping Iron, or did they sort of glorify Arnold and make you kind of, you know, look like the schlump, or I don't even know how to say it, but it seemed like they made Arnold the hero of that movie, and they tried to make you sort of the, I don't know if I'd say the villain, but didn't seem like it portrayed you in the best light. I would have been a little upset if that was me.
They made like Arnold the villain out kind of like the dark horse, but you know something, that's what made the movie work. It wasn't about who won the competition, about the blood, sweat, and tears of the sport. And at the same time, I'm dealing with the issues of my father, so I wasn't really integrated into the competition, but I knew they were making a feature film, and I wanted to get somewhere in the sport of bodybuilding. But I think the way it was dictated was beautiful because everybody had a personality and it had a beautiful ending. And still today, it holds its own because when you watch it, like you watch it yourself, I watch it, I get fired up, I want to work out. It'll never be duplicated. But at the time, I was disappointed because I was hoping that, like you said, they portrayed me as a dummy. Like this guy, you know, can't speak, you know, I had hearing and speech issues back then. But all that changed because when I look back at it now, I'm glad I've done it. Of course, you go back, you say there's things you want to change. But the way that movie is portrayed is beautiful because everybody today talks about only 2 people, me and Arnold, because they grew up with pumping iron.
Yeah. So, you know, Pumping Iron was a big deal, but I think in terms of how many people were reached, the Incredible Hulk TV show, far and away, blew that away. I mean, I remember very, very distinctly. I watched that every Friday night it was on when I was a kid. You know, my wife's family's from Cuba. Her grandmother didn't speak one word of English. She loved your show.
Wow.
She called it El Hombre Verde, the Green Man. That's what she called it. And I just want to share a little, before I ask you how you got the role, I want to share some trivia with people that I found. It says Arnold Schwarzenegger auditioned for that role, but he was too short. They said he wasn't tall enough to be the Hulk. They gave the role originally to a guy named Richard Kiel, who played Jaws in the James Bond movies.
Yeah.
He had issues because he only could see out of one eye, and the contact lens was bothering him, and the body paint. And the producer's son said, "This guy's not the Hulk, Dad. This guy's too skinny." So how did that end up? Where did that go from there to you getting that role?
Well, what happened though, they realized that Richard Kiel didn't fit the Hulk. He didn't have the physique, even though he was an actor. So they filmed already half the pilots. So they realized they had a problem. They did a nationwide search call. They reached me. I went down for the audition. I got into the makeup. I got in front of the camera. They told me to mimic the Hulk. I did what I could. I was hired the next day. Wow. It was a perfect time and place because I'm also a great athlete. They wanted somebody that's able to run and be flexible, to show the emotions. At the time when I did the Hulk, it was called pantomime. That means acting without speaking. But that came natural for me. Everything just fell into place. But the hardest thing for me was to go to Joe Weed and say, "Joe, listen, I can't compete in the 1976 Miss Olympia, which I was slated to win." And Joe said, "Compete next year." But like you said, doing the Hulk changed everything. So even though I never won the Miss Olympia, but billions of people know me as the Hulk. So yeah, that's the better choice I made. But I love bodybuilding.
Was it very uncomfortable with all that makeup and being out in the heat all the time? It seemed like it would have been very, very uncomfortable. It
was. The hardest thing was that I couldn't work out when I was the Hulk and the makeup. I had to train maybe like 3 in the morning or maybe train afterwards. If I trained like 4 times a week just to maintain what I had, a lot of times I'd be in the motorhome sitting all day in that green makeup. And brutal because sometimes I would spend time reading. I couldn't sit down with the crew, have lunch because the makeup had a tendency to run. Right. And you know, we're filming in different, like in Newhall, like Pasadena, was very hot. It was tough, but playing the character was beautiful, but the makeup was sometimes horrendous.
So, you know, I've seen a lot of your movies. Obviously, I saw every episode of The Hulk. To me, the best you ever looked in a movie was Hercules. To me, you look like a Mr. Olympia, like you just walked off the Olympia stage. Did you train for that Hercules movie role like it was a contest?
I trained for the Hercules like it was Miss Olympia because I wanted to be the best Hercules on screen ever. And I remember Al Buzek and and a couple of friends of mine, they came to visit me on the set. They told me that 2 weeks from the time I was filming, they were having the 1980, I believe, 3 Miss Olympia. They told me if I step on stage, I would have won.
Yeah.
But my goal on that big screen, movie's permanent. You can't go back and change it. I want to be the epitome and blow anybody in the past that's been Hercules to show the biggest amount of size and density, which I pulled it off. But we're talking about a 3-month shoot. I had to maintain that same condition every day. I literally trained very hard for that film.
Now, I'm guessing, what did you weigh there? About 285?
I'd say 285, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, easy.
In the movie Pumping Iron, what were you, about 265, 270?
268.
Yeah, and you were much leaner in Hercules than you were in 1975.
And Arnold was 228 in Pumping Iron.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
Because he has small joints. But it's funny that he looks bigger, so when you put the two of it together, you see how much bigger I am. That's the beauty about bodybuilding, the fact that you could change the shape. But people sometimes you think they weigh more, they weigh less because of the way they look. But Pumping Iron 268, and think about this, when I came back, I competed in the second year of 1993. I was 325.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, I won't make this all about your movie career, although I could talk about it for a while. But one of my favorite movie roles that you had was in the movie I Love You, Man, where you played yourself, Lou Ferrigno. So obviously that role was written just for you. So how did that come about? Who wrote that, and who wanted that role for you? Because it was hilarious.
Well, I filmed King of Queens for 7 years, and one day I received a phone call from John Hamburg. He wrote Zoolander and Meet the Fockers, so he said, I wrote the script if you're interested. I went to the studio and met with him. And I remember I said, I'll read the script, and I liked it because even though playing myself, I play a guy that is a real estate money mogul. But I said, why not? Because you have these iconic actors to work with me, and more people love that. That became the biggest and the best comedy of 2008.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, you put Jason Segel in a headlock.
Actors that don't fight it, yeah. Every time I do a convention autograph sign, a lot of girls come with their boyfriends. It's good to put my boyfriend in the chokehold like you did in the movie.
Every time we go to a media event, yeah, everybody wants to be in the headlock.
Yeah, I mean, when you go to these conventions, do you get approached equally by bodybuilding fans as to people that know you from just the movies and TV?
Everybody. I get bodybuilding fans that come up. Sometimes they come from old magazines. Sometimes they ask me questions about bodybuilding, about training. I'm more than happy to help them. And not just Hulk fans, but people also, because of my physicality, I've had people come up and say, I've lost 100 pounds, I've lost 50 pounds, I got involved in bodybuilding because of you. That's a wonderful instant gratification for me.
Yeah. Now, you've also been known as you've trained some very, very famous celebrities yourself. I'm sure there's many more. You tell me some more. Chuck Norris, Michael Jackson, fill me in on some more. Who else have you worked with?
Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke, yeah. I train a lot of actors. I try not to train too many actors because of the ego. They want to be babysit. They want to babysit actors. So I have clients like lawyers and doctors. I kind of like fix their problem. It's fun, like the same thing like yourself. I just want to tell you as this interview, I commend all the articles you've been writing for the magazine for John Pirillo. I read every month, and it's very inspirational. Just want to tell you that.
Thank you very much. So I know you still follow the sport. You're still obviously very much involved in it. You have this contest that you're going into your 4th year, this big expo and contest. So the changes that you've seen over the last 40 years in the industry, what changes are you happy to see that have happened, and what changes are you not so happy to see?
The changes I've seen, I'm happy, is that gone beyond bodybuilding. We have now the fitness, the bikini, the physique. This year we have, like last year, we have the classic competition. Mm-hmm. And the fact that the general public embraces the sport, embraces the competition. What bothers me is the fact that the steroid use is getting out of hand, because a lot of people think that guy has great physique, he's got great genetics. They want to say it's all drug. It's not drug, it's hard work. It's very hard work to build a good physique, natural physique, whatever you call it, but that's a change. But now because of all the different events happening, like the physique and the fitness, the public kind of like embracing that, because that's something that's exciting, not just bodybuilding. Bodybuilding always will be there. And it's not easy to be a champion IFBB bodybuilder. Like this contest we're having this November, it's going to be the biggest pro bodybuilding competition in the world. We have 150 competitors, and more. And here's the best part. You get a free invite to the Arnold Sports Festival to compete, and also in the midst of the Olympia competition 2018.
Wow. Okay, cool. The one thing that I'd like your opinion on, like, you said when you competed, you were still athletic. Arnold was athletic. I mean, you went from bodybuilding to doing that. What's that big celebrity thing they used to have? What was it called?
ABC Superstar competition,
Yeah.
and the first Real Strong Man competition.
Oh, you were in that too?
The first one, me and Franco.
So, I mean, the sport seemed like it was healthier. It seemed to me like you guys looked healthy. You were healthier back then. You know, are you worried that the sport isn't, as far as open bodybuilding, it doesn't seem so healthy anymore? We have people having health problems, unfortunately, even a couple people passing away at younger ages. You know, what do you think? Is there anything that can be done to help turn things back?
This is the personal preference. This goes for anybody. If you tell someone to take 2 aspirin to feel better, and the person figures that he's not feeling well, if he takes 15 and 20, he's going to hurt himself. And just like, for example, when it comes to recreational drugs, and if you want to study for school, you start taking amphetamines like cocaine, stuff like that, and then you're going to harm yourself because it's drug. Yeah. It's all personal preference. There's people, like, for example, you can't just blame the bodybuilder because of something else. I don't know what bodybuilders do. Like, sometimes bodybuilders inject themselves with synth oil. That's not a good idea. That's dumb. That's stupid. Yeah. So it's a personal preference. But generally, if you train hard, and I would think it's a problem, it's all about, like I said, I can't speak for the bodybuilders, but you're going to deal with recreational drugs and overtake any kind of drugs, you're going to harm yourself. And drugs don't make champion.
Yeah. Because I'm looking at you, you're 65 years old, right?
Thank you.
You know, you look great. You look like you can still do whatever you want to do. You look functional. You look healthy, vibrant, full of energy. And I worry that, you know, a lot of the guys I talk to, a lot of guys I'm friends with, they're not going to make it to 65. And if they do, they're not going to be looking and feeling as good as you do right now. But we'll move beyond that. I'd like to know, because, you know, you do look like you're still in great shape. What kind of workout regimen, what kind of nutrition program do you follow now?
Well, I ride a bicycle every day when I get a chance on the beach. I do 40 minutes of cardio, about 25, 30 minutes of weight training. I train light, high repetition. I don't do heavy weights because right now I'm not interested in building muscle, just maintain what I have, and I eat well. That's important. The diet is the whole key. I don't overindulge like smoking or drinking, stuff like that. It's all about taking care of yourself. The key is consistency, taking care of yourself. And if you don't take care of yourself, I mean, it's your own fault.
Yeah. I know your son, Lou Jr., he played for USC. He was a great football player. Did he ever have any desire to try bodybuilding?
Well, Louis likes to train, but he doesn't want to do heavy squats and deadlift because he doesn't want to have the joint problem I have.
Louis has the ACL surgery as well.
Right.
So he actually did want to see where he could go.
Yeah.
But since he can't squat because of the knee surgeries, he just couldn't pursue it.
But the thing is, to be a champion today, you have to love pain. I love pain. If I had to squat 400, I have to do 500. I used to bench 560. If you want to be a world champion, you have to love pain. I don't give a rat's ass what people say. It's that drive you have. You want to take it to the highest level, only you can do. You have to love pain. There's no champion today that made it without pain. I'm not talking about pain like laceration. I'm talking about like muscle pain, fatigue, right. And like you take Bruce Jenner, those kind of people. They have that the desire to be the number one, be the world champion. You have to love pain.
Now, you know, you guys trained a lot more back in the old days. You guys trained 6 days a week, twice a day, for 2-3 hours at a time. Some people will say that the guys today, compared to you guys, are lazy, that they don't work as hard, they don't train as hard, they don't use all the free weights. It's a lot of machines, a lot of cables. You know, do you think that guys did train a lot harder and heavier back in the 60s, 70s, into the 80s?
Much harder because back in those days, we walk into the gym, we had tank top, we had shorts, and we bring our muscles to the gym. It bothers me today when you go to the gym, you see guys wearing headphones, they have these hoodies, they cover their head, they're looking down, they have dark sunglasses, they do a few leg stretches, and then on the iPhone, texting and everything. There's no more passion. That's why today you get a guy like Phil Heath, those guys, they train hard because that's what separates them from the boys. There's the IBB guy. What bothers me today, there's so many guys on social media bragging how great they are, but the truth is, what were you looking at? I mean, what were we looking at? The only place you go, you want to see champion bodybuilders, you go to the Legacy, you go to the Arnold Classic, those guys on stage, those are the champions. And in my time, I remember we did train very hard. We had nothing. We didn't have the equipment today like we had back then. Today is so different. You got a different hack machine or the different cardio machine. In my old days, to do seated calf raises, I would take a heavy bar, put on my knees. I didn't have a calf machine.
Wow.
Supervised.
All right, Chris, it's time to get you involved in this.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so this is the 4th year of the Ferrigno Legacy. How did this event originally come about?
Well, you know, it was kind of past due for Lou to have his own massive bodybuilding show, and a lot of people had approached Lou before, and he just hadn't found somebody who was the right fit. And I knew Louis before this was ever Louis Jr. We call him Louis. We call this guy Lou. Okay. So I knew Louis before we'd even talked about it. And I put on a show in Lake Tahoe called the Tahoe Show that really had a different business model than what other NPC shows were doing. It had an absolutely incredible venue, a much higher production level. My experience, I used to run hotels, so customer service was a huge part of what we do. So Louis and I started to throw around the idea of a legacy. And so I brought Louis to the Tahoe Show, and he actually ended up hosting it. He saw how it went and said, and Louis been, like Lou, been at hundreds of bodybuilding shows, and so thought this was the best organized, the best produced show I've ever seen. Let's reproduce this business model now with my dad in Southern California. So that was kind of the birth of it. We all talked, we hit it off great, obviously. And we're in line with the vision we had for the show, the quality, the class, the level of fairness and integrity. We all know Lou's got no skeletons in the closet. He's probably one of the only big guys out there who doesn't have any. And that's important, that carries through into the integrity of the entire show.
Now, how has the event grown? Oh, go ahead, Lou. Go ahead.
Almost every competitor that competed the last 3 years tells people how much fun they had at our show, because the way Chris promotes the show, we have professional makeup, the tanning, the backstage. You're not outside popping up in the grass. You're not sitting around till 2 in the morning and then being told you're going to compete on stage or not. But it's all about quality, and that's why the competitors come back again and again, because they have so much fun at the show.
So how has the event grown and, changed over the years that you've been putting it on?
It's increased in participation drastically. I think our first year, which was Thanksgiving weekend, we got that great date.
Wow.
We had 256 NPC athletes that first year, which was pretty surprising in a first-year show, Thanksgiving, to get that. Then we went to 300 the next year, and then this past year we had over 350, and we had 65 pros this past year. We're sold out in sponsorship space. We had added powerlifting last year. So we reached capacity of that venue. So now this year we've rented out the Palm Springs Convention Center, which is another 120,000 square feet. We're bringing in over 200 vendors since we ran out of space with the other one. We have 5 stages, multiple sports. One of the sports, Oksana, Miss Olympia, is actually producing, and it's called pole fitness. It's pole dancing, but now a competition. Yeah. Powerlifting, slackline, seminars. It's huge now. So multiple venues, kind of like the Olympia. But honestly, I feel like we have the best venue in bodybuilding in the world. This is a $71 million showroom. It is, you walk in and people's jaws drop. I mean, we treat our NPC athletes like pros, so they get the same stage, the same production, and they're used to these some of the other smaller level shows, and they come in, they get scared looking around, and jaws drop. Holy crap.
So you just mentioned pros, and I know a lot of the people that are going to watch this, they're looking forward to the Men's Open Pro Show most of all. So how is that shaping up? Who's interested? Who's committed? And who's on the fence right now?
Well, I can tell you. So I've had over 150 pros now reach out to me and have committed to the show. As of right now, with 4 weeks left to go. That's 150 pros over 5 divisions is what we have. Yeah. On the pro side, on the pro men's bodybuilding side, Brad Rowe hit me up a couple days ago, and so he's coming in. I know. Let's see who else. Josh Wade. He won the Vancouver last year. He's coming in. The big names, there's a few others, but the big names tend to really make it known the week of, 2 weeks out. So I'm still waiting. But right now, I can tell you there's 28 pro bodybuilders who have committed. They may not have their contracts in, but they've committed to me that they're doing the show. Now
I know you can't confirm this, but I have 2 big names that I want to throw at you. That Cedric McMillan has talked about doing this show very recently.
So he hasn't reached out to me yet, but that's very exciting for me to hear. And I actually, I'm a big fan of his physique. Yes. And we talked about that old school physique. He had that really small waist, full chest. He's very artistic. I love his personality too. When he was teasing Arnold the other day at the Arnold. I love that kind of, who brings a little more than just the physique, and that's what Arnold and Lou did back in the day too, you know. So I hope to see him. Then he can redeem himself for his Olympia performance.
The nice thing about this year, they're having a section called Coffee with Lou. Could be me and Richard Cascara. Sergio Oliva's son's coming, Tom Platzer coming. Last year we had Frank Dane and like Bob Birstone, the old competitors that they live in Palm Springs. So a lot of these people come down because of the big extravaganza, not just the content, it's more like a big party at the fun expo. And everybody that comes is at the resort area in Palm Springs. So people really have fun. It's not just a competition, it's a beautiful extravaganza, like a beautiful fun expo.
Well, remember what Tom Platt said last year? You know, he was there. He didn't want to leave.
Yeah, because I took him, we went to powerlifting competition and talked about squatting, the greatest squat of all time. And we were sitting there, these young kids competing in powerlifting. I was impressed because it was a hell of a show, and they're coming back again.
Yeah. Tom said it's like the old days. It just feels like the camaraderie that happens at this show. There's just something special it's kind of hard to describe. We can talk about all the cool stuff we have, but until you go, you actually feel the difference of this show. You feel this sense of community like the old days.
No politics.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another big name because I was speaking last week to Nathan DeAsher, who won the show last year. Speaking to him in the UK, and he said he's still holding his condition because he didn't want to commit to it 100% talking to me on the phone, but he's very, very likely going to come back and defend his title there next month.
Yeah. Plus his trophy broke last year, so he's got to get a new one.
But it was funny. The competition gets keener every year. So him to compete again if he wins, I mean, it's the best show in the West Coast. But like I said, you got to invite to the Arnold Classic and the Mr. Olympia competition.
Yeah. And that trophy, I'm going to have a picture flash up. That's one of the coolest trophies I think I've ever seen. How big is that thing? I can't tell from the picture.
That's big. Legally, we can't sell it because the fact that it's made because of the rights to the Incredible Hulk character. But giving away as a prize for the competition is fine, and you only had like 11 made.
Yeah, there's only 11 per year that go to the overall NPC winners, and of course the winners of each pro division.
And I've had a friend of mine, they offer me $1,000, if not more, to buy the trophy because they just love the trophy so much.
Yeah, these are all handmade. The sculptor's name is Chris Epting, and I actually found this thing in forums somewhere, and I just dug through the forums. I finally made my way to Chris. He does a cool job on the East Coast. It's just a part-time hobby thing, but I said, Lou wants to use your statue as our trophy, and yeah, we made it happen. He has his friend who does it. His name is Dan, and he just everything needs to be hand built, and the quality is through and through, and it's really one of a kind piece. You got to
get a lot more than $1,000 for that if you really wanted to.
I think we could get 20, 30 G's for it, especially if we throw his autograph on it.
Beautiful. But especially when they received the trophy from me and I'm on stage. And also I want to mention that a lot of time in the pre-judging, I do a selfie with all the pro athletes because of my giving back. Not like when you go to another competition, you're on stage. It's all about my appreciation for them to compete on my show. But they get very tickled by that.
That's awesome. Now, Chris, I believe there's a VIP package you guys have with a pretty interesting name. What's that all about?
So, Lou's got a Lou's massive package here. Wait, show it. See, Lou's massive package. So Lou's going to show you his package.
Yeah, what is in there?
Also, the people that buy this package, we have a meet and greet.
Yeah.
They get to meet me in person and they're having fun.
So what you get in here, of course, get tickets to finals. And the finals are the best seats in the house. This is front row center.
Yeah.
Heart rate monitor. You get a shirt. You get exclusive access to the expo where you get in early. You get into every event early, and like Lou said, you actually get a private meet and greet where only the VIP ticket holders get to hang out with Lou. So you can buy this on our website. It's really a cool exclusive package, and you basically get this wristband that everybody sees and knows that you're the shit at the show.
Maybe you should rebook your flight, cancel the national, come to my show.
I have to say,
we'll give you a discount on it.
This is nothing against the promoters of the NPC Nationals. But how dare you guys put your show on the same day as this, so I can't be at both. I'm so bummed. I'm really bummed. So what is the website so people can get some info on this?
Make it easy. FerrignoLegacy.com.
Okay, easy. And I'm sure you guys have Facebook, you have Instagram, all that good stuff too.
Definitely tag us up. If we like your picture, we'll repost it to our 80, 100,000 followers.
We have live streaming too, right?
Yeah, we do live stream the whole thing. So if you can't make it, you can actually, our title sponsor is Dr. Carr from Carr Cellular Fitness. So he sponsors the live stream so everybody can watch it for free. And it's actually rad for the competitors too, because they can be backstage watching it and make sure that they don't miss their call out. So they always, if somebody misses their call, I go, you just had to have it on your phone. So it's a great deal.
Is the live stream going to be on the website? Is that where they can find it?
We'll have links to Carr's website, and that's where you can view it.
See, the nice thing about Palm Springs, that time of the year is warm. It's not in LA. It's not in a big city like Chicago. You're free. You have no trouble parking, and you can just roam around Palm City. Because, like if you're in LA, you deal with the traffic congestion, and it's almost fun. Like I said, like a vacation resort.
It's nice. It'll be about 80 degrees. You can hit up the tram, the shops. Yeah, have fun in Nashville, brother.
They're making me feel bad now.
Well, Palm Trees, biggest pool in Palm Springs is our venue.
I know. Two of them.
It'll be nice and hot in Miami when I'm there too, but it's a disgusting, sticky, humid heat that I'm not a fan of.
The tanning doesn't dry, I know.
Cool. I appreciate you guys taking all this time to speak with us. You know, the viewers of MD, they've been very excited. I let them know this was coming, and everyone's excited to hear this. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lou, so much for doing this.
Pleasure. Thank you.
It's been an honor. It's been my privilege to finally get to interview you. You know, you were kind of on my bucket list. I've interviewed a lot of people. And finally I can check off Lou Ferrigno. Thank you.
We'll do it again next year, too.
Cool, man. All right, guys. Thank you so much for the Ronline Report. It's been Ron Harris with Chris Mings and Lou Ferrigno.